Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lecture we'll look at some more dictionary built-in functions. In the previous lecture we looked at the case values and items built-in methods mainly. Let's start by creating a dictionary object and we'll save it in a variable called dictionary1. Dictionary1, let's set it to be equal to, and then let's pass key and value combinations. So let's say key1, and for our value we'll pass the integer 456, so key2, and for value 2 we'll pass a list containing the numbers, let's say 3, 9 and 15. For our third key and value combination we'll use key3 as our key, and for our value we'll pass a tuple containing the numbers 4, 8 and 23. Or let me include the parentheses. And for our fourth key and value combination let's use key4 as our key, and for our value we'll pass a list containing a few items, let's say item 1, item 2 and item 3. If we want to find out the value for our key 2 we can simply say dictionary1 and then pass the key as an index, key 2 in this instance, and we'll get our value 2, which is a list containing 3, 9 and 15. And we can even use one additional level of indexing to access these values in a list. Since this is a list, indexing is possible, right? That's because if we use the type method on our dictionary1 key2 object here, we'll see that it's a list, so we can use indexing. Another way we can do this is by saving this value dictionary1 index key2. We can save this in a variable, let's say x. Now if we call x we get a list. We can also call the type function on our object x, and we see that the type of object x is a list. So we can either say x and then at index, so the result is what, 3, 9, 15. If we want to grab 15 we can simply pass the index to 0, 1, 2. That would give us 15. And now this is an integer, right? So if we check the type here, it's an integer. Let's run it. It's an integer. So we can perform various operations on integers, right? So we can say this plus 35 and that should give us 50. So we can perform operations on integers, similar to what we did here on lists. Similarly, if I want to access any of these items, first I have to grab the value for key 4, which I can do by simply saying dictionary1 and then index key 4. And that gives us a list containing these items. Now we can further, let's save this in a variable called x, and now we can index x since it's a list. Let's pass index 1, that should grab item 2. We get the string item 2. If we check the type we should see that it's a string. So this is a string, so we can perform operations on a string, right? So x at index 1, that's an item 2, that's a string. So we can perform operations that we do on strings, right? For instance, we can check if it's upper, but we can call the isUpper method, and that should give us false since it's not upper. And we can use other string functions. Great. In the previous lecture, we saw methods to get a list of all the keys called the keys method. We can call the keys method on our Dictionary1 object, and that gives us a list of all the keys. Now let's see, there's a similar method called viewKeys. Let's call the viewKeys method on our dictionary object, and we get dictionary keys. So what's the difference between the keys method and the viewKeys method? The difference is the type of this method. So the keys method gives you a list, the result is a list, whereas the viewKeys method gives you a dictionary object. So you can do that by checking the type. For instance, let's save this in a variable called x, and let's save this in a variable called y. Let me run both of them, and let's check the type of x, which will give us a list, whereas if we check the type of y, we get a dictionary key object. So that's the difference. We get a list versus a dictionary keys object. Similarly, we have other methods called viewItems and viewValues. Let's look at those methods. So Dictionary1, that last time we saw the values method, and this will give us a list of all our values, right? These are all our values, and similar to the values method, there is a viewValues method that will give us a dictionary values object. Okay, a dictionary values containing all the values. And the last method we saw last time was the items method, and that gives us a list containing a tuple of our key and value combinations. And we have a similar method called viewItems. Okay, and we get a dictionary items object. If we check the type of this object, we see that it's a dictionary items object. Next, I will show you three methods called, all the three methods start with iter. They are called iter keys, iter values, and iter items. They are used to iterate over, for instance, let's start with iter keys. So by using this iter keys method, we'll be able to iterate through all of the keys of our dictionary. And we use these methods in combination with for loops. We'll learn about for loops in depth in the future, but I wanted to quickly show you how we can use these methods. So the way we use them is by using for loops. So we can say for our keys in our Dictionary1 object that iter keys, we can print key. So this is the general syntax for loops. For a certain item in some object, print that item. So don't worry about this for loops. I just wanted to quickly show you the iter methods that we have on dictionaries. So in this case, we said for key in dictionary 1 that iter keys print key. So this will print out all the keys in our dictionary 1 object. Let me run it and show you. So we get key 3, key 2, key 1, and key 4. So this is the use of a for loop. A for loop goes through an object, an iterable object, and then it prints out each of the items one at a time until everything is printed out. Okay. Similarly, we have a method called iter values that will print out all the values. So let's see that quickly. You can say for value in dictionary 1 that iter values, let's print value. So the most important thing about for loops is that you see here I used key and then I said print key. This statement can be, I can use anything for this. Instead of key, I could have said for, let's say, W in our dictionary that iter keys print W. So it can be anything, but it has to be the same where I have it here and in the print statement. So here I said for value in our dictionary 1 that iter values print value. So I use this word value because it makes more sense, as this method, this for loop will be printing all the values. So if I print it, we get all the values, right? This is one value, another value, 456 is another value, and a list containing these items is our last value. So we could have gotten the same result if we said, let's say, instead of value, I can say anything. Let's say for X in our dictionary that iter values print X. As long as it's similar, it can be anything. So X, it can even be, let's say, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, E. It could be anything that you want. Again, the reason why I used value is because it makes a little bit more sense since we are printing values. And same thing here. Since we are printing keys, I used the word key, but it could have been anything. Okay, next, let's see the last method, which is the iter items method. So similar to this items method, the iter items method will print out the key and value combination. So for that, we can say for, let's say, key and value in our dictionary 1 that iter items. So this method prints out both the keys and values as a tuple, right? That's why we are saying for key and value. So print key and value. Let's run it. So we have key 3 and then its value, key 2 and its corresponding value, key 1 and its value, key 4 and its corresponding value. Okay. If we want a tuple, we can enclose this in parentheses, run it again, so we get a tuple of the key and value combination. So this is how we can use the iter values, iter items, and iter keys methods. We use them with for loops. Basically, the methods iterate over the entire dictionary, and by using for loop it prints out each of the items one at a time. Okay, at this point don't worry about for loops, what they do and so on. I just wanted to quickly show you these methods, and they are used in combination with for loops. There is an entire section on for loops. Okay, that's what I have for dictionary built-in methods. Just to summarize what we learned in this section, we started by defining dictionaries. We said that dictionaries contain an unordered list of objects with key and value pairs, and we create dictionaries by using curly braces, and we separate a key from its value by a colon, and we separate one key value combination from another by using a comma, and we access the value of our dictionary by indexing the key, right? We said that we cannot have duplicate keys for our dictionary, otherwise the last value will only be remembered, and dictionary values can be of any data type like integers, lists, tuples, and so on. But there is a bit more restriction on dictionary keys. Okay, and later we saw how we could grab values for our values from the keys. We saw how we could update our dictionaries. We saw how we could grab our dictionary keys or values by using the keys methods and values methods, and we also looked at some other built-in dictionary methods like the view keys, the pop method, the delete method, and so on. And finally I touched upon the iter keys, iter values, and iter items built-in dictionary methods that we can use in conjunction with for loops. Great. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.